As everybody knows Fred Velez. Come on up here, Fred.
Hi, guys.
Come on over here to that mic. Fred, you've written a book.
I wrote a book. Here it is, folks. It's called A Little Bit Me, A Little Bit You, The Monkees from a Fan's Perspective. This is about my experiences with the Monkees over the years, and it includes lots of fan stories, including some people around here who contributed to the book. And it's gotten some really nice reviews, and I'm really pleased and grateful that people like the book, and I hope I'm over there, so if you want to check it out, just come visit me over there. I promise I will sign if you come to see me over there. And if anybody has any questions about the book, hello.
We lost it.
We lost it. Ladies and gentlemen, testing 1, 2.
He hit the button.
I hit the button.
No, you're good. Keep going.
Hello. Oh, hello. Okay, I'll use this one. But anyway, like I said, I'll be over there, and if you have any questions about the book, I'll be more to happy to answer it. This goes back to all my experiences back back. I'm an original fan, going way back, and also I was involved as one of the. I was the original MC for the early Monkees conventions, and I was a writer for the late and lamented Monkee Business fanzine, written by the wonderful Maggie McManus. We must give a hand to Maggie. And I just want to say something else too. For those of you who have followed Monkee Business fanzine and have been on the web, on Facebook and everything, if you know Maggie's mother, Peg McManus, a wonderful, sweet person. Unfortunately, she passed away this past Sunday. And everybody who knew Peg loved her. She was an initial part in helping put together the Monkee Business fanzine. She helped Maggie literally fold the magazine and send it out and mail it, and she was involved in the early Monkee conventions, and she was involved in promoting all the Monkee events, and the Monkees loved her, and the fans who knew her loved her. And just please remember Maggie. She's she's going through a lot right now, but I know she appreciates all your kind thoughts and your prayers for her. So for Peg McManus, I just want to, if we could just please give her a round of applause. She did so much. Thank you so very much, everybody. And it's a great experience being here. I was here last year. It was amazing. Oh, you guys were all over the place. The girls were over there, and the girls are back, and we'll see them a little bit later today. And hello. And I just want to say again that it's a pleasure to be here. In the book, I wrote that I helped when Davy wrote his book, Mutant Monkees book. I don't know if anybody remembers that book. He actually contacted me to help him out. I was down there at his house to do some light research for the book. And one of the things that stood out for me was when he took out this big trunk and he opened it up, and in it was his memorabilia, like photos of the Monkees, his solo career as a mate. I was like, whoa, it's like I died and went to monkey heaven. It was fantastic, and I just pulled out pictures and things. I told Davy, this has to go to the book, this has to go to the book, this has to go to the book. And a lot of what I suggested ended up in his book. So if you could find a copy of the Mutant Monkees book, if you see some of those photos, I helped to pick them. So again, we're very grateful that you guys are here in Davy's memory. And I always say, please continue to support the Monkees, support Davy's charity for the horses, and whenever the Monkees are playing, either as a group or as solo artists, please go support them. You fans are the ones that are keeping this thing going, and everybody appreciates it. And everyone connected with the Monkees and in the Monkees fandom, we do appreciate it. I want to thank you all. Thank you so much.
All right, and Fred, you're going to stay up here on the stage with us, and I want to introduce you now to a very wonderful lady. Y'all know her, y'all love her. One of the original Monkee girls. It's Valerie, Kairys, Venet. Give her a big hand. Okay, and here's how we're going to work this. Basically, I'm going to come out and about amongst you, and if you have a question that you would like to ask them, just raise your hand and I will make sure that you get a chance to ask your question.
Two. Okay.
We're just doing a mic check. We're kind of micless. All right.
Testing, 1, 2.
And Valerie, you were telling me an interesting story earlier. I'm over here. I'm walking out here. I'm like Phil Donahue.
Over there.
Okay. Here's what we... But you were telling me an interesting story earlier about how you became Monkee's girl. Like you were talking about how you used to hang out on the lot and things like that.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was working on the lot.
Right.
And that was the Columbia lot where they made a lot of shows. I think I was working on a Jerry Lewis movie at the time. And I got this call. My roommate said, you know, they want you to come to stage 4 on the Columbia lot, and it's an interview. I said, okay. So my roommate and I, we were poor, starving actresses, right? So we shared our clothes, and I had the dress that was navy blue, like a shirt dress. You guys remember the little shirt dresses? And it had a little gold collar and gold cuffs. And believe it or not, every time I wore that dress, or my roommate wore that dress, we got the job. We aced the job. So it was like, Cherie, you gonna wear that dress today? Do you have an interview? No, I don't have. So I said, Cherie, I'm gonna wear the dress today. I'm on stage 4. Okay. So I go in there, I go to stage 4 at like 1 o'clock or something. I'm guessing, I don't remember really. It was a long time ago. So I go on stage 4, and it's dark, and it's, you know, I'm thinking, what kind of an interview is this? Because a studio soundstage can be really scary. You know, they're huge, I don't know if any of you have ever been on them, but probably a stage is like from maybe here to the end of that building. And they're just gargantuan. They're very tall, so that they can replicate a city if they have to, you know, and backdrops and paintings. So, but it's dark, and you know, I thought, what is this? So pretty soon I hear footsteps coming, and it's a man's footsteps. Now I'm really worried. And it was Bert Schneider, who was one of the producers of the Monkees. So he interviewed me. He said, Val, he said, can you travel? And I said, yeah, sure, you know, I can travel. He said, well, would you mind standing in for a young man? And I said, no, not at all. You know, I don't know. Do you guys know what a stand-in's job is? What a stand-in does? It's, you know, when they're blocking the scene, it's so the star doesn't get worn out. So they're lighting it, you know, and let's say that, you know, I'm the star, and I'm going to walk over there and talk to Chuck. And then I'm going to come out to you guys, and the camera is over here. So, you know, all of this has to be what they call blocking. And then the camera is over there and filming it. So everybody goes to work. The whole crew goes to work with the lights and everything. So you have to be about the same size as the person that you're standing in for. And so I found out that it was Davy Jones that I was standing in for. So we went to Del Coronado Island in San Diego, Del Coronado Hotel, and worked on the pilot. And that's why I was there on every episode, but I wasn't actually in every episode. And then pretty soon the writers started coming up to me and saying, we're writing a part for you. You are? Why? You know? And I didn't get it, you know? And so I think my first part that they wrote for me was the kidnappers, the friendly neighborhood kidnappers. So that was the very first one. And then I co-starred in Monkees a la mode. And but I was still there, and but when we started shooting the pilot, I'm kind of jumping around, but that's because, you know, I go, I'm a little crazy. And when we started shooting the pilot, apparently the union said, you know, a woman can't stand in for a man. So Michael Nesmith's friend that he went to school with, that he went to high school with, David Price, brought him up on the set, and we call David Price his stand-in, Davy's stand-in. But really I was there, and most of the time I was doing it. But if I was in the Frodis room working, David Price would be there like that. Because David, I'm still very good friends with David Price, but he's 6 feet tall or over, you know, he's a tall guy. So for the lighting and everything, he wasn't really the perfect one. But Davy and I don't know if you guys saw a picture of 2 weeks before he passed away. I saw him at the Marriott Hotel. He was signing autographs there, and I went to see him, and we had some pictures taken. I posted them on my Facebook page, and we're just about the same size and the same coloring, and the camera loves that, you know, because it makes it much easier for the star to come out and be filmed. How was that?
Anybody else have a question for Valerie or Fred? Back here. Donahue. All right.
There you go.
What's your name?
Hi Valerie, I'm Marianne from San Diego. And what is your favorite Davy moment?
Oh my gosh, that's a tough question. My favorite Davy moment. Oh my gosh, all of them. Really, really, really all of them. But you know what the most beautiful thing was every morning when I'd walk out on the set, they're just starting to get everything together, and you know, you get your cup of coffee. There would be Davy, and we're waiting for them to do whatever, you know, they're doing. And there would be Davy and his beautiful smile, you know. And every morning I got to kiss Davy good morning. And all of them, you know, I would feel arms around my waist, and it would be Peter, and, you know, give a hug to Michael and Mickey. And every morning there was so much love on that set. So it's hard, it's real hard to pick a favorite moment, you know, because they're all so special. But Davy was, the one thing that I did want to bring up about Davy was, as you know, he was such a kind person. And he was such an example to all of us of his kindness and his very, very giving heart. He gave to everybody. He loved just walking up to people and spending time with people. He loved everybody. And I think that, you know, that's one memory that I really cherish. Something that I learned from him is to be a kind and good person. And of course, his sense of humor. You know, he had a great sense of humor. And gosh, I miss him so much, as I know you do, So does that kind of answer it? Oh, you gave me a tough question. I want some easy, give me some easy ones.
I want to ask Fred, when did you become a Monkees fan, Fred?
Like I said, I'm an original fan. I became a fan in '67, and it's in the book how I actually heard the music first before I actually got to see the TV show. And one of the stories I have in the book is how I got my first Monkees album, which was the More of the Monkees album. More of the Monkees was my first album. And how I got it was my local boys club had an annual summer fair on the roof of the building. I live in New York City, and the boys club is on 10th Street and Avenue A across from Thompson Square Park. And one day I went up there for the fair, and they had a mouse race. They had like a little racing track, and you put a mouse in there and then lift up the little gate and the mouse goes down, and if your mouse wins, you win any prize that was on the wall. So I'm looking, there's baseballs, there's gloves, and then I see they have record albums, and one of the albums was More of the Monkees. I heard some of the music in this, I think I'd like to get that. So put my quarter on my mouse, and my little mouse won, and I got the album, brought it home. The minute I put the needle on and heard She for the first time, I was hooked. And then I found out later that this group was on television. Just really, and I fell in love with the show. What really happened was this: is that I used to be a big fan of Gilligan's Island, and Gilligan's Island used to be at the same time the Monkees. So I actually missed most of the first season of the Monkees because I was watching Gilligan's Island. So one time Gilligan's Island was pre-empty for some reason. So I switched the channels, and there was the Monkees, and it says, "You mean I'm going to be watching these guys instead of Gilligan?" You know. So for a long time, I never forgave Gilligan, but I became a big Monkees fan. I still like Gilligan's Island, you know. And I just loved the show, and the music was first, and the TV show came second. So you know, I remember that you know, as I researched the group, that before the TV show came out, the single "Last Train to Clarksville" was released a month before the TV show. So then the single was becoming a hit. Then the TV show followed, and that became a hit. So it was always a debate: which was first, the music or the TV show? Was the music promoting the TV show, or the TV show promoting the music? It was like that
chicken or the egg, yeah.
Exactly. So that's how I began as a fan, and then later in the '70s, when the group was out of fashion, you know, when they were gone and everything, I was still, all that I had was the records. I collected all the records, and the more I got into the records, the more I said, these guys are really darn good, you know. And I started, you know, looking in Manhattan and New York City. They have all these wonderful record stores, and I used to go bug them and says, "You have, you know, these records of the Monkees?" And I found out that they were releasing solo records, and I wanted to get whatever singles I could get of Mickey or Davy or anything that came out of Mike. I always collected all the Michael Nesmith albums, and it was the music that always spoke to me, and I loved it very much. Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask Valerie if she'll marry me.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? It is. Any questions? Raise your hand.
We have somebody over there?
Where are we at?
Can I tell you a story then?
Sure.
When we finished the pilot, you know, we weren't sure whether it was going to sell or not, because the networks, it was like really, you know, long hair and all of that stuff. So the networks didn't like that. It was, you know, too much music. It was no. In those days, you know, it was just really ahead of its time. So it didn't sell for a while, as I'm sure most of you probably know. Actually, I used to walk into Raybert Productions every day because I was working on the lot. I'd walk in and I'd go, did it sell? No, we don't know yet. Did it sell? No, we don't know yet. And then one day I walked in and there were all these long faces. And I went, what happened? They turned us down. Bob Rafelson. And I was shocked. I went, it'll change. And I turned around and left. Don't worry, it'll sell. And so it did. They did something and they rearranged it and got the interviews or something, right?
Right,
He's
exactly.
the historian. And, you know, and the pilot sold. So they gave, they got the Monkee Mobile, and they gave the boys the Monkee Mobile, and they said, okay, you guys go out and get to know each other.
Right.
Yes? And so guess where they drove the Monkee Mobile to? My house. Because after the pilot, Peter didn't really have a place to stay, you know? Yeah, he was working at the Golden Bear, and, you know, yeah, and he was from Connecticut, and he didn't really, you know, so he's kind of in between everything. He didn't have a place to stay. So I called my roommate, Cherie, and I said, Cherie, I said, do you mind if I bring home one of these guys that's working on this show, and, you know, he doesn't really have a place to stay? And she said, no, let's give him the downstairs. And so I brought Peter home, and he stayed with us a few days, and then I drove him over to Michael's house, and he stayed with Michael. And that was fun. We made him sing for us and play music. That was the deal. And so after the pilot sold, they knew where I lived because Peter lived there for a little while. So they came over with the Monkee Mobile. And I wasn't home. And neither was Cherie, my roommate. But when we started shooting again, Peter came up to me and said, "We came over with the Monkee Mobile and you guys weren't home." And I said, "That's why God gave you fingers to dial a phone." You know, we had dial phones. He didn't, he didn't call before coming. So yeah, naturally we were working. So I missed it. To this day, I am so sorry I wasn't at home that day, So that's it. There's one story. You got a story?
No, not really. Not around unless somebody wants to ask a question.
Yes, he does. How about some questions?
Yeah.
Anybody?
Anybody.
Got a question? I have a question.
Yes.
What was your favorite episode to work on?
Monkeys All About, the one I co-starred in.
Of course.
No, I'm just kidding. I love them all, really. But of course, I love that episode. But when we were working, 10, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, and we'd all, go get something to eat. And when they first started shooting, I think I went, we'd get like 30 minutes lunch or 45 minutes lunch. And I think we went off the lot and I think I was with Michael and we came back through the gates of Columbia and there were all these girls hanging all over the fences, at the studio. And I said, what's going on here? I didn't know that, they were already playing because I had nothing to do with the music end of it.
Well, from that episode, Monkeys Out of Mode, does everybody remember the name of the photographer in the show?
Oh, I do.
Loud.
Rob Roy Fingerhead.
Rob Roy Fingerhead. Yes. Who was that actor, by the way? What was his name?
I don't remember.
But that was one of the funniest episodes, I think. And one of my favorite episodes is the Devil and Peter Tork. I thought that was excellent. That to me is probably one of the best episodes they ever did in the series because it gave each of them a chance to really act, especially Mike and Peter, and they were the two that didn't really come into it as actors, but because you could see the sincerity of how they felt about the music in that episode, and just the interaction between Mike and Peter in the courtroom scene is so good. And I'm glad the series, especially in the first season, won an Emmy for best. It was for best comedy, I believe, best music comedy, right? Something like that. And I think if they had given like an Emmy for best individual episodes, that would have been one of the ones I would definitely have given if I was given a chance to vote. And it's two other good ones that I like is Monkey's Mother with Rosemary. That's excellent too. And the one that really stands out is Success Story with Davy's grandfather. And I think everybody knows the scene where the grandfather says to Davy he's going to come home with him. And Davy says goodbye to the three guys, to Mike, Mickey, and Peter. And after Davy passed away, that one scene became like one of the scenes that was hit the most on YouTube because you just felt it. It was like he really was saying goodbye at that moment, and I love that episode. It is tough to watch that particular scene because you know how it turned out, that. And God bless you, Davy. Thank you very much for being so much a part of our lives.
We got a question over here.
Okay.
What's your name?
My name's Carolyn, and I'm from the Boston area, and I have a question for Valerie. Thank you for coming, by the way.
Yeah, from Boston.
Boston area.
Boston.
Thank you very much for being here. And two questions. One is, I know a little bit about the song Valerie, but can you explain a little if there's any connection with you? And the second question is, did you ever get to hang out offset time? Like, did you ever go to the beach with the guys, or yeah? So, like, what did you do in your
Okay.
downtime?
First of all, thank you for having me. It's my honor. Your love. The song Valerie was written by Boyce and Hart, and I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago that the Egyptian Theater on Hollywood Boulevard, it's a beautiful theater where all the old actors and actresses used to go to premieres. It's just gorgeous. If you ever go to Hollywood, it's one place that you should see. But they were going to show 4 Monkees episodes there on the big screen. And I got an email from Barry McGuire, who sang a song called Eve of Destruction, in the 60s. And he emailed me and said, Val, they're looking for you. Who's looking for me? The Monkees. I said, oh, the Monkees. Okay. So I contacted, and they said, please come to the Egyptian Theater and, see these episodes. And so I gingerly rushed over there, and Bobby Hart was there, and there was a Q&A after they screened the episodes.
Davy and Peter was there too, right?
No, Davy and Peter were not there. David Evans was there, one of the writers, and Bobby Hart, and me, and my memory is not so good anymore. But anyway, the question came in, song Valerie, and I didn't know, and I said, I get that question all the time, but here's Bobby Hart, he wrote the song. And I said, so we'll let him answer it. And I gave him the microphone, and I thought he'd tell a little story about, whatever, however the song came about. And he picks up the mic and he looks at me, he says, of course it was written about you. I just about fell over and dropped on the floor, because that came right from the writer's mouth, so, and Bobby Hart, oh my gosh, what a prince. He's just an amazing person, and so talented. He wrote the theme to Days of Our Lives. Yeah, so, he's an Oscar winner, I think, look it up. And so that's the song. Now, I did read that he had a girlfriend. Okay, Don Kirshner? Don Kirshner. When the Monkees became a hit, Don Kirshner came running out, give me songs with girls' names, give me songs with girls' names, right? Right. And so Valerie was written in that, but and then I found out that Bobby Hart had a girl in high school that he pinned, and her name was Valerie. So writers will have a lot of influences. So even though he said, of course it was written about you, and I was on the set every day, so I did see them every day. So, there could be a lot of influences too. So now the second question was...
Sure, what'd you do for fun offset?
Yeah. We were working so hard, and they were on tour on the music end of it too. So we were shooting the series, and they were doing the music shows. So there really wasn't much time to hang out. But I remember being at Mickey's house a lot. His door was always open, and of course Davy was there, and Michael was married, and he had a baby. He had babies, so he was a family man already, and kind of didn't hang out with us. But so, but we did. Mickey's door. Mickey was amazing. He would just take a group of us to go see a movie or whatever, and we'd all go. And so it was really wonderful, really wonderful. Thank you for that question, Carolyn.
Anybody else have a question?
Oh, do we have somebody?
Somewhere? Anyone?
Somebody's
Somewhere.
Well, if I can say something, I was very pleased when my book came out that a lot of people had purchased it and read it and really enjoyed it and gave me some really nice notices on Amazon. And a lot of people were approaching me, did anybody go to the March Monkees convention this past? Yes, we did, okay. And a lot of people coming to me and saying how much they liked the book and everything. And says, you know, you should have put my story in there. You know, why didn't you contact me? Why didn't you write to me and ask me about my stories in the book, which Valerie is displaying right now very beautifully. So, very, very lovely model right here. Thank you very much. But so it got me to thinking, and my lovely Linda Walsh, who was sitting right there by the booth, there she is. Say hello, Linda. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Linda.
He said, Fred, it's time for a second book. So, I'm putting it out there for people that, yeah, I am going to write a second book. And the working title will probably be A Little Bit Me, A Little Bit You, Too. Remember when the guys used to do that? So, when Amy, who was here earlier and did that wonderful, she's right there. Hello, hey, Amy. She did that wonderful story about Davy. I said, that's a wonderful story. That should go in the book. And the next book will be more fan stories. So I could be found on Facebook. So if anybody wants to contact me, if you're on Facebook already, you could write to me on Facebook. Tell me if you got a story. You could send it to me, and I'll compile it, and we'll put together a book, a second book, with more fan stories. Now I'm pretty much, I don't have as many monkey stories as I got in the current book, but if I could dredge something out of my memory, I'll try and stick it in there. But again, it's out there. If you, I'll put together the second book, and I just need, more fan stories. If you guys want to contact me, just go on my Facebook page, contact me on Twitter, and I got my, I'm at the booth there. You could, if you want to give me an email, that'd be fine too. So, hopefully sometime next year we'll see a second book out, and you guys might be in the second book. Who knows?
Okay, we got a question over here. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Mary. I just wanted to know from Valerie what you've done with the past 45 years after the Monkees ended.
45 years? I was never good at math. Well, I was married. I was married to Nick Venet, and I don't know how many of you know who he is, but he's a record producer. He was the head of A&R at Capitol Records. He was the head of A&R at United Artists. He produced the Beach Boys and signed them to Capitol, and he produced Linda Ronstadt, and she was with a band called the Stone Ponies, and he produced Jon Stewart, not the one that's on late night TV.
Daydream Believer.
Jon Stewart wrote Daydream Believer, and he wrote it about his wife, and his wife's name is Buffy Ford Stewart, and she is truly a beauty, and she is Sleepy Jean. And actually, Buffy, she's the sweetest, most wonderful person. She found out a little too late about this, or she would have been here. She adored Davy, and they even have a version of her and Davy singing Daydream Believer. I think it's on YouTube somewhere, but a real beauty. So we were so connected. And then my brother-in-law, Steve Venet, co-wrote not Tomorrow, It's Going to Be Another Day, the other one. It's got a tomorrow in it. It's got a tomorrow in it.
Look out, here comes tomorrow.
That's it. Thanks, you guys. The old noggin is going. So yeah. So anyway, Buffy is wonderful. John has passed away. Jon Stewart has passed away. My husband has passed away. But they did a lot of, brought a lot of good music. I think Nick, my late husband, he produced 450 albums with Glenn Campbell and Bobby Darin, everybody you can think of, Jim Croce, you know, everybody you can think of. So he was a wonderful man. And you know, Davy, Nick, John up there, you know, in heaven, they must be making some beautiful music.
Okay, we got a question over here. Chuck.
First of all, I'd like to say what a wonderful delight this is that you're here, this celebration. What a wonderful enlightenment this is to everything. It's wonderful. And I hope to see you every year.
And it's my honor, honest to God. I get choked up. Maybe I can say it this time, but your love uplifts me.
My question is, obviously you have a heart like Davy's, and it would seem really natural to me that Davy would have spoken to you maybe about old England or something. And I wonder if you might have a small story that you might tell us maybe of how maybe Davy talked about missing his country and the place where he was and his horses and things. And he spoke with you about something like that.
You know, he didn't, because on the show, like I said, we were so busy. We were 10, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. And then they were traveling and doing tours, and there was so little time to talk. We ate together, and you know Davy was a complete prankster. He had the best sense of humor, didn't he? I mean, he made everybody laugh all the time, you know, putting salad in his face and, you know, just, you know, crazy. You saw the stoned monkey on the YouTube. Oh, he was a practical joker. And but you know what? He was so exhausted, because I know on the set sometimes, where's Davy? Where's Davy? And he'd be just wanting to get some sleep. You know, you'd find him under some lights in the corner, hiding from everybody.